Live from the Score Atlanta television studios in North Atlanta, this is Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm your host, Craig Sager. Today we'll be joined by Najee Wilkins in our first segment to talk about our fast break headlines. Then we have a great lineup of guests. We're going to have Matt Murphy, the GHSA's State Meet Director for Swimming. We're going to talk to him all about the sport and the upcoming state championships, where the diving is going to be at Westminster and then the swimming will be at Georgia Tech's facilities. We're going to talk about the 2025 Senior Bowl. Lots of Georgia high school prospects are trying to show out in that game and then raise their draft stock for the upcoming NFL draft. We're going to have Andy Dyer on, Elbert County's head football coach. This is his first head coaching job since the Archer Tigers. I'm excited to talk to him. And then Jason Cameron, Calvary Days' new head football coach. A great Friday lineup. Let's go ahead and bring Najee Wilkins on right now. Najee, how's it going?
Going good, man. How's your Friday going?
I'm hanging in there. I'm doing all right. So first, let's talk about this last weekend before signing day. Do you feel like we're going to come in here on Monday and maybe there'll be some movement, or do you think everything's going to kind of be calm until Wednesday?
No, I wouldn't be surprised. I think you'll definitely see a little bit of movement. With signing day, you just never know. Some kids want to get it out of the park. We had some commitments today already for some kids. So I think you'll see a couple things on Monday and then everything kind of get enveloped in on Wednesday when kids officially, sign to their school and go off to their universities. But yeah, I definitely think you'll see a couple little headlines there heading into Monday.
Yeah, and then what's the biggest maybe difference you see from this year's group of seniors, maybe from last year? Has there been more late signees, or do you think it's pretty much the same?
I think more late than what we're accustomed to. I think last year, you've seen maybe the majority of people sign in the early window, or if they did sign in the late window, it was because they were going back to school or they was finishing their spring semester before going off to school. I think this year is a lot of late signing. There's still a lot of kids out there on the board, and obviously that has a lot to do with the transfer portal. The winter transfer portal goes hand in hand with the early signing window as well. So it's tough for the kids. It's an adjustment, unfortunately, but I think we just have to do better, especially with the NCAA, in putting just one window for obviously college players, and then a signing day that helps out the kids, where it's not two, only where it's just one and everybody can benefit.
Yeah, and then a segment I enjoyed this week was with Max, and he of course wrote an article on it, just the final ratings for the class of 2025. Honestly, I had never paid attention to the final ratings. Usually by this time it's like they're going off to college, but this is a big deal because, one, if you're on 3 and 247, this is your final chance to basically say that you got it right with these guys that made a late jump later on. If they go out and win all conference freshman team or something like that, if they bumped them up, that's going to make them look good. So have you always noticed or kept track of that final ratings? And I mean, how important do you think it is with some of the names we highlighted in this senior class?
I mean, it's very important, not to go on a national level, but when you look at On3 in their latest rankings, 10 newly minted 5-star prospects, right? So a lot of guys got bumps up. Some guys got bumped down. Like, for example, I was reading an article yesterday, Cortez Smith got bumped down a little bit. C.J. Wiley, surprisingly, got bumped down just a little bit. But I think it's very important because when we look back at this 2024 class in 2 or 3 years, we're going to say, oh, well, what happened to this guy? Or did this guy make it to the league? Or how important was he on that next level, right? Did he become that prime prospect? So like you said, when you're going against the 0-3s, 2-4-7s rivals, you want to say, hey, ours is reliable. When we scout guys, we can see the next level potential. And 9 times out of 10, it matches up. I think the best model currently constructed is 0-3 with how they're able to do it. And I think a lot of things they do is they're outliers, and they use that in order to determine, hey, 2-4-7 might be down on this kid, or rivals might not know this kid, or even ESPN, but we feel like this kid could potentially be that guy on that next level. And then when you go back and look, hey, we was one of the few that had the outliers that said this kid was special.
Yeah, and obviously there's measurables for all these kids, but if a recruiting expert from On3 is familiar with the Buford program, he's seen the guy play a bunch, he might have him higher or whatever, but it is it is nice to see that they have the final ratings set now. And once again, you go to scoreatail.com, check out Max's article on that. But Najee, let's go ahead. Let's get into these fast break headlines for Friday. Start us off.
Yes, sir. So at number one, you have obviously Casey Barner officially transfers to McEachern. Again, I told y'all there's a big high school portal going on. I definitely think we need to be one of the first ones just to talk about these major headlines. But remember, he balled out in our Corey Kell Dave Hunter Classic this past year. Remember that big victory early on, Douglas Atlanta 18-3. They ended up winning. He had a touchdown in that game. I think he ended up winning Defensive Player of the Game as well in that one. Outstanding performance for him. But now he's going to go over to McEachern to match up with Nayland Scott and that great crew. Obviously, I have another year, Jerryon Campbell. Their head coach is obviously a really good coach here in the state of Georgia. I think this year you're going to see McEachern probably take that jump forward. They did have a very competitive year last year, but when you get a talent and a prospect like that, hey, good luck, And I think he's going to be able to make an impact on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I love when you call it the high school portal. It really is. But when you look around McEachern right now, Hillgrove had an incredible season last year. Marietta just brought a new coach in from Florida that has big ideas for what he wants to do with that. You got Harrison with Coach Salam. So for them to get a young guy that they know is going to be there, be a staple in the secondary, that is huge for them. Good to see McEachern being able to get some talent headed to Powder Springs. All right, go ahead and get us to headline 2, Najee.
Yes, sir. So Norcross Markesia Lancaster, she committed to Georgia Gwinnett College. This is a very big news, obviously, for her. She's a senior, 5'11" forward. But why it's so big, this is a brand new program here in the state of Georgia, right? They play NAIA. Ironically enough, I actually went to this school my first 2 years of college. But they just implemented basketball programs for the girls and the boys side. So you can get scholarship, go there, start off your career there, continue to build. And they're launching officially their basketball program in the 2025-2026 season. So that will be this year. So big news for her being able to play on the next level.
That's awesome. And they, of course, host a lot of our playoff basketballs. I believe they're a semifinal side, or they have been. And as you said, they're starting the program with a Norcross product. That is the way to go. All right, headline 3, big news. Crisp County hires former Carver Columbus defensive coordinator Justin Newman. This news dropped yesterday. We don't have too much yet, but we do have a statement from Coach Newman, him talking about his time at Carver Columbus. He says, "It has been an honor and a pleasure to have served as a defensive coordinator at Carver Columbus. The past 3 years have been surreal. I will forever be indebted to Carver for the memories and accomplishments that we have created. It is with a heavy heart, but the time for me to move on to the next chapter in my career. To the players, both past and present, I want to express my gratitude and love. I will always be your coach, answer your call, and do whatever I possibly can for each of you. You have set the standard of excellence for the next generation of Darcy side players. Nobody can take away what you accomplished, and I am beyond blessed to have been able to be a part of this journey with you all. Papa Newman loves you." And then he goes on to credit the assistant coaches he worked with. He says, "We would not have had the success we had without your hard work and dedication. Know that you are more than colleagues. You are a family, and I could not have done this without any of you. If you ever need anything, I'm a call away." And then to head coach Pierre Coffey, "My brother, thank you for believing in me and giving me the opportunity to be your defensive coordinator. This has been an amazing ride, brother, from after the game Waffle House meetings to staying late for laundry, the long road trips, recruiting fairs, coaching clinics, and the offense wanting one more play. We did it, brother, state champions." So that was his statement, parting ways with a great Carver Columbus program, able to get them to the top. That was an underrated aspect of that team, was that defense. I mean, the offense was unstoppable in the championship, but that defense was no joke, and he's going to take over at Crisp County.
Yes, sir. All right, let's hit the next headline, Craig. Chamblee Lady Bulldogs, they won their second consecutive DeKalb County Swimming Championships this past week with a score of 223 over 207 for the Decatur Lady Bulldogs. This past weekend, Chamblee won the 2019 and 2020 titles to mark their first back-to-back titles, and combined with the Bull Sharks win in the boys' meet gave Chamblee back-to-back sweeps of the titles. Freshman Brooke Kell, she joined juniors Mina Overway, Mina Alexandrov, and Anna Ektrikin to jumpstart the repeat, opening with a win in a 200-yard medley relay with a time of 1:38.80, with just 2 seconds off of the record pace set a year ago by Chamblee. Junior Mina Alexandrov, She collected one of 2 gold medals for Chambly as she clocked a 1:59.39 to win the 200-yard freestyle event. Kale joined Alexandra at the top of the podium as a 9th grader, swam to gold with the 200-yard individual medley with a time of 2:15.96.
All right, and shout out to DeKalb County, always doing a great job of informing us. Another county champion we've highlighted. We will be talking more swim in the next segment, but headline 5, we had North Oconee head coach on the show yesterday, Rick Rasmussen, and now we're going to talk about his senior, Thrasher Wilkins, who hit 1,000 career points recently. It was a ball fake into a 3-pointer against Bartow. That was the play that put North Oconee senior Thrasher Wilkins into the 1,000 career points club. Great story by the Athens Banner Herald right here. Their coach Rick Rasmussen said he called a timeout and everyone ran on the court. I was still kind of shocked, but I didn't know what was happening. This is what Wilkins said afterwards. I literally just thought we were calling a timeout, but then he brought out the ball and we took a photo. It was amazing. Wilkins joined the Titans' now state championship program as a junior last year, transferred into the public school stratosphere from Athens Christian to find a different taste of competition. He had been playing basketball since the 6th grade. He went to the Westminster Christian Academy, and then I believe he transferred over from Athens Christian after that. I'm really proud of him. Coach Rasmussen said he's worked really hard. We're doing everything we can to help him have a chance to play at the next level, which is his dream and a goal for him. I think he can do it. He's just got to find the right fit. Wilkins averages 10 points, 5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 2 steals per game on the wing, going from a 6th man out to a starter, filling in for Bird Carter's spot, one of the 5 seniors who graduated last year from the state championship team. He's been a big part of the Titans' sustained success since the winter of 2023, and they are 20-2 overall this season. Thrasher is a champion in life. Coach Rasmussen said he's going to be a part of North Oconee history forever. So big accomplishment coming over to the North Oconee program and getting some love from his teammates after hitting that 1,000-point mark.
All right, big news out of Mount Perrin for our final headline today, guys. Mount Perrin, Mitch Jordan officially stepped down as the AD. Mitch Jordan, who built the Mount Perrin Christian football program from scratch and later took the reins as the school's athletic director, announced his resignation on Thursday. Jordan has accepted the athletic director job at his alma mater, Darlington School in Rome. They're getting a great, obviously, athletic director there. He will remain at Mount Perrin through the end of the school year before beginning his new post July 1st. He said, I was not looking to leave because it is a wonderful place, said Jordan. It would take a lot to leave Mount Perrin, but I have a lot of family and friends in the Rome area. Sometimes you need to change, and it just felt right to make it. So that's official there. Obviously, for Mount Perrin, Craig, a little bit of a kind of restart to a degree, because remember, they're still looking for a head coach for that job as well, and now you got a new AD you have to get as well. So complete change. It'll be interesting to follow the program over the next few months.
Certainly is. And yeah, Coach Eli stepped down. The former head coach, Coach Jordan, was the AD. Now he's going to Darlington. So big move right there. But that is it for our Fast Break headlines. We will be back on the other side to talk with Matt Murphy, the GHSA State Meet Director for swimming.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career.
Welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. Right now, we will be joined by Matt Murphy, the GHSA's Swimming State Meet Director. Matt, thank you so much for coming on. How's it going?
It's great. Thanks for having me.
You bet. All right, so let's get started just with this year's event. It's going to be at Westminster for the diving, and then up at the Georgia Tech Aquatic Center once again for the Swimming State Championships. Looks like this has been the same venues the last few years. Talk just a little bit about these venues and how you feel this setup has benefited.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't thank, first of all, Westminster enough for opening their doors and allowing us to have the diving championship there. It allows for a little bit more intimate diving venue instead of the giant facility as the 96 Olympic Games were hosted in at Georgia Tech. So can't thank them enough for their hospitality and fellowship and letting us there. Georgia Tech is, the premier facility in the nation, one of the largest seating capacities and one of the fastest pools in the world. So being able to be there for this championship has really taken it up to the next level over the last 16, 18 years that we've had it there.
And then talk a little bit about your experience as the GHSA's State Meet Director and how you've seen that change over the years.
Well, I'm only one of the State Meet Directors. Frankie Marsden is my co-director. And both of us grew up swimming here in Atlanta and in the GHSA. And it's just been a great experience for us to be part of high school swimming and helping guide it and direct it in the direction that it's been going. We just love it. We know that high school swimming has, played a great role in our lives and our success, both as human beings, but as in business as well. And so it's just a great way for us to be able to give back. Being able to take it out of the high school aquatic environment into a world-class facility was always a dream of ours, and we're just happy that we've been able to continue to do that over the years.
And then did you swim at St. Pius, was that right? And then you coached at Marist?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I went to St. Pius, and my senior year, we finally got the swim team started there for a full season, and I made the state meet there, and then coached there for a couple years, and then as all my Pius alumni friends say, that I got lured over to the dark side, and I've been involved with the program over at Marist for the last 26 years. So coaching the middle school program and helping the younger kids out.
And then, I've covered some of the state meets before. It's very exciting. It's so fast-paced. It's just one after another. But for people that maybe aren't familiar with the sport, how heated are some of these rivalries just within the metro area and just like the head-to-head history between some of these powerhouses?
Well, yeah, it is no different than a football or basketball game, especially when you get to, the rivalries, whether it's, Gwinnett County, Cobb County within the private school system. Parkview and Brookwood are always battling it out with each other. Lassiter gets thrown in there with them as well sometimes. This will be the first year in a long time that Marist and Westminster are back at it again, even though they're not a typical school-to-school rival, but in the swimming and diving community, year after year, for the last 50 years, they've battled it out on those grounds. But a lot of schools have really invested in their swimming and diving programs and have really come up. Pace over the years has worked really hard, and they're coming up. Riverwood, North Springs, as well has off and on had really good programs. But a lot of times you just never know who's going to get up and swim fast or hit that water in perfection off the diving board and score points for their team.
Yeah, and it's great to have a venue that is reliable each year to host this event. And then it's, a lot of fun for teams that are able to make it multiple years in a row. Talk about, though, the swimming community in general. How unique and special is it? Just obviously it's very competitive, but at the end of the day, I feel like they all sort of share that bond just around the sport.
No, absolutely. Swimming is one of the biggest growing sports here in Georgia. One of our previous year-round swimming presidents here in Georgia, at a convention one time, someone was like, "What are y'all doing? What are y'all putting in the water there in Georgia?" And he's like, "You know what? We're just showing the kids the pool and getting out of their way." And it's no truer statement's been said. Between all the summer league programs with the Atlanta Swim Association, Gwinnett County and Cobb County, and all the bigger summer league programs have really created a grassroots effort to get kids involved in the sport. But most importantly, obviously, the Learn to Swim programs, and it's a safety thing, nevertheless. But get kids involved in the sports, and then the high schools have been committing to having teams and keeping it going and giving the high school athlete that may not want to be a year-rounder an opportunity to swim. But the year-round sports and the high schools have played really well together, especially in our sport of swimming and diving, and we couldn't be happier on the growth. We see year after year so many kids swimming on the next level. Maybe not D1, but swimming and diving and competing on the collegiate level every year, and it's just a testimony to all the hard work that the coaches of the GHSA as well as year-round and summer league programs have done here in our state.
And then in your role as the state meet director, what is that like during the dive, the days at Georgia Tech? Just walk us through kind of what your role is and your responsibilities during that.
So we've been planning this meet for, over a year. We start in September, right after school gets started, planning and getting it going. But on day of competition, my specific role is upstairs. I handle all of the ticketing, the parents coming in. Frankie handles the actual meet operations themselves. And then one of our other meet directors, Evan Nylander, is handling all of the logistics side of things as far as what the teams are concerned on getting them in the building, getting team lists and rosters checked and all that kind of good stuff. So it's definitely a major team effort in the three of us to make this meet come off.
And then there's been state qualifying times, but is the state championship field set already, or is there still going to be a couple more days for teams or athletes to potentially get in to qualify?
Yeah, no, the meet is absolutely set. Psych sheets are out on the GHSA.net website. The last chance for competition was Tuesday, and entries were due on Wednesday of this week. So the field is set. The teams are putting in their last bit of training and really refining some techniques and probably mainly starts and turns and relay exchanges right now to look at to hit in the water on Wednesday. And on Tuesday, the divers, all classification of divers will be competing to, kind of kick off their team as far as points are concerned and really to get some points on the board early.
And then from a staffing standpoint, obviously people have to get the facility ready, but in terms of just the judges and people that are going to be helping you get the results out in time, I mean, how many people are involved in this state meet?
Ooh, that's a great question. There's two categories of people that are working the meet. Number one is our volunteer staff, which we could not do it without the parents and possible teammates, swimmers or divers that maybe didn't qualify for the meet this year, but still wanted to come down and cheer on their teammates. They volunteer to be crowd control workers, to be timers, to be runners and work the hospitality room and all that kind of good stuff. And then from a staff perspective, there's probably 25 people per session on the payroll that work in logistics and ticket taking and ticket sales, getting the teams checked in, working awards, all those different kind of things. And then there's the professional crews that we hire to do all the timing via Peachtree Timing. And they do all the timing and scoring of the meet to make sure that everything is accurate and perfect as possible.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Matt. We really appreciate it. Can't wait for the state championships, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so there goes Matt. We'll be back on the other side to discuss the 2025 Senior Bowl and some of the Georgia products that will be participating.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
Welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. Right now, we're going to talk about the 2025 Senior Bowl. That game will be tomorrow in Mobile, Alabama. I've got Najee Wilkins joining me. Before we look at the Georgia players participating, let's just talk a little bit about this event and the importance of it. So this will be the 76th year of the Senior Bowl. It's considered the most prestigious college all-star game. I think juniors can participate if they declare early. Some of the names last year in the Senior Bowl, you had quarterback Bo Nix from the Broncos, Braden Fisk from the Rams, defensive tackle. They were both on the winning team. Michael Penix Jr. Played in it last year. It's always important who coaches in the event. I think this year it's 2 assistants from the NFL. All the scouts are going to be there, and then this really is the start of what's called draft season. So we'll have the combine after this, but this is that first big opportunity for these guys to raise their draft stock. Najee, what are you looking forward to in this Senior Bowl?
Yeah, just being able to see a lot of these great players go toe-to-toe. There's always fun. I think Reese's Senior Bowl does a good job of highlighting the talent. Good way for, obviously, these scouts and GMs to get a look at some of these college players that's going to be playing on the next level. And you see a lot of stars shine here, and eventually they end up those marquee players. Like, I'll give you an example, Puka Nacua, right? He played in the Senior Bowl, and look at the rookie season he had, right? But you've seen at the practices and the game, he was tearing it up, and underrated player, but look what he did in the league. And, this year you got great players coming from out of Georgia, right? Look at Kyle Kennard from Riverwood, set a team high in sacks this year, 11.5, all SEC type player, 28 tackles. He had a marvelous season. I can't wait to see what he's going to look like. I think he could be a steal at that defensive line spot. And a really good linebacker as well, Demetrius Knight II for South Carolina. He had a good year, right? One of their leading tackles with 80-plus tackles this year, continued to have strong seasons. So many great talent and players. I just can't wait to see them be able to showcase their talent.
Yes, and what stands out to me, these rosters are pretty huge. There's like 120 guys participating in total, and it reminds me a lot of the Georgia Elite Classic because you can stand out in practice in this event. And we've seen a lot of hype coming up from who looks good in practice, obviously the big one-on-one drills between the offensive and defensive linemen. So there's opportunities outside of the game to impress. There's scouts all over the place. It's going to be in Alabama, 2:30 kickoff tomorrow. Who's a guy that you want to see kind of shine in this game that you think has the ability to rise to the occasion?
I'm going to say it's a good question. I say Dan Jackson would be one, North Hall. Really good season again for Georgia this past year. We look at him third leading tackle. I think he had 64 tackles, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. He had another marvelous year as well, what he was able to do for Georgia. I think he's just waiting for the right opportunity for him, one of those guys that could be also another steal for the draft at the safety spot. Reminds me a little bit of a Cooper DeJean, right? Underrated player, from Iowa, goes in, has a really good, strong rookie season for the Eagles, and the reason why they are so good this year, along with Quinyon Mitchell as well. Another player is going to be Woody Marks. No one ever talks about him, but he had a great season this past year for USC. Right, he went to Calvary, Atlanta, ran for 1,133 yards this year, 9 touchdowns. Right, had 321 yards receiving this year, 6 games of over 100 yards. That's another really good back. I think you could fit in there in the 5th or 6th round. That could be a key contributor, similar to what we see with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He obviously went earlier than that, but another player, like if you look at a contender or a team that's a perennial playoff team like a Chiefs or a Bills, Bengals, just getting another back to come in there and really help you out. I think Woody Marks could eventually be that. But Craig, there is one I want to ask you about, and that's Ryan Fitzgerald. How about his season, man? He absolutely balled out for Florida State. I know they didn't have the year that they wanted, but he went a perfect 13 for 13 this past season. 5 field goals of over 50 yards for the Florida State kicker, 19 to 21 in 2023. What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I always say he's the best kicker I've seen out of the state of Georgia. I didn't get to see Harrison Butker kick. I only heard about him, but I saw Ryan Fitzgerald in the game I always talk about was in the playoffs. They ended up losing to North Gwinnett that season, but he kicked a 61-yard free kick in their win over Archer. Coach Dyer probably won't want to talk about that when we have him on. But, I mean, he was just unbelievable, lights out. He set the all-time Georgia record for most points scored. So that's like who was the kicker? Was that Morton Anderson in the NFL, just the longevity? He did it, obviously, in 4 years. Was really the first kicker that was used as such a weapon where Coach Probst was able to just settle for field goals when he wanted because he had such a great defense. And then at Florida State, obviously, he's been unbelievable. So I think he has the leg, and I think he's a kicker that is good enough where he's actually going to earn a draft spot, which is kind of rare for a kicker. And then obviously his brother Brett this last year won our kicker of the year. He broke Ryan's record, and he will be following in his footsteps at Florida State. But yeah, he's one of the best for sure. And if there's a game-winning kick on the line, I definitely want to see him do it. Another interesting thing about this event, I think it's great because you have guys that have been standouts for maybe smaller programs that weren't in the top 25, that maybe don't put out several players into the NFL every year, but have earned a spot in this game. So you have, it's such a great game because there's so much incentive to play in it because you can raise your draft stock, which is going to help you earn more money, get a better contract, but then you also get guys that have played at smaller schools that are going to get to go up against guys from the SEC, ACC, all the Power Four. So how cool is that? Just guys that have been under the radar. It's impossible to cover the entire country in college football, but guys that are going to be able to break to the scene this week.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. It goes to my point I talked about earlier, obviously, with the Puka and the Coolers. No one really knew who he was. Rolls onto the scene, and look what he did. A recent example right now, currently, from Georgia would be the Hillgrove receiver, and that is Jalen Royals, right, from Utah State. He played for the Aggies this year. Had a career year, 55 catches, 834 yards, and 6 touchdowns. You know, had one of his best games against a top-end opponent that made the college football playoff, Boise State. Went off for 9 catches, 211 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So you see names like that could potentially be difference makers at the next level, you know, and be able to contribute early and often. So, I mean, I think the game, like as you alluded to, Craig, is great for that. When you see guys like that be able to get invited, and that's the reason why their roster size is so big. And I think you look at other, you know, Senior Bowl games, it's not necessarily to the level of a Reese Senior Bowl. And I think that's why, because they try to get as many kids as they can, underrated. They're not just looking for the high-end guys. You know what I'm saying? They also look for the underrated guys that can really use that platform to showcase to the world their talent. So that would be a name I would say is Jalen Royals.
Yep, and then I think you already mentioned him, Jaquavius Marks from Carver, Atlanta. I remember seeing him play in the Corky Cal. He went up against Cherokee in that event. Obviously, Coach Miles has talked so highly of him, one of the great players to come through Carver, Atlanta. And then we've also got a couple guys that came from the Peach State that went to South Carolina, Demetrius Knight, Kyle Kennard from Riverwood, and then Jared Ivey from North Gwinnett, edge rusher from Ole Miss. Who else, maybe, are there any Georgia Tech guys that you've seen that are going to be competing in this?
Yes, you got Zeke Biggers. He's obviously from North Carolina. You know, he had a really good year this past year for them. Just an interior edge rusher, really can cloud up really the interior of that defensive line. And you got Jackson Halls. Halls is an underrated pick, but you look at a guy that could potentially have an 8 to 10 year career, right? He's not necessarily going to wow you with what he does in the passing game or as receiving. Now, he can do that, but he's not going to wow you. But he's more of that H-back blocking type tight end. So when you're doing those certain packages, hey, we need you to block this in or chip this in. You know, TJ Watt's going off right now. Can you chip him? He's one of those guys that can do that and in free release out for a catch. Like, he's really good. Came from Yale, transferred to Georgia Tech. So those are the two guys there.
Yeah, and the scouts will obviously be there from every NFL team. It's going to be a great game tomorrow, 2:30. Don't miss it. We'll have more coverage on scoreatl.com. But that does it for that segment. We'll be back on the other side to talk to Andy Dyer.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting six figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of the battle? Will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
All right, welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. Right now, we will be joined by Elbert County head football coach Andy Dyer in just a second. We will have him on shortly. He takes over for Coach Jarvis, who has stepped up to take a superintendent position in that area. I believe Coach Jarvis actually went to Elbert County, so that was a place that he was well familiar with. He left Mill Creek to go there. They had a great run with Coach Dyer on the staff, and now that Coach Jarvis has gone into the administration role, now Coach Dyer, a coach with previous head coaching experience, takes over. Elbert County was very competitive this last season, made a second consecutive run to the quarterfinals. I had them as a dark horse to potentially make a run to the state championship in Class A Division I. Ultimately went to Toombs County, a great team, but certainly they're going to have the talent next year to open the season in the top 10 and then once again compete in that tough region and make a run. Do we have Coach ready? Okay, so he's coming on in just a sec. And what's interesting about this partnership, Coach Jarvis was the first ever head coach at Mill Creek. Coach Dyer served on that staff, and then when Archer opened up, Coach Dyer went to Archer and was the first head coach at Archer, led them to the finals, had great success building that program up, and then took that little break from head coaching. Coach Dyer also is a Brookwood alum, so he comes from Gwinnett County, playing football in one of the best counties anywhere in the country. Dyer joined Jarvis on Elbert County staff in early 2022 as assistant head coach and the offensive coordinator. Yeah, I think we have him via audio. We can go ahead and bring him on. Coach Dyer, can you hear me? Testing 1, 2. Coach, can you hear us? All right, and so Dyer previously coached at Archer, acted as the school's first ever head coach. We mentioned that he won 4 region titles, 2013, 14, 17, and then 2021, and has a career record of 97-52. So he's just 3 wins away from getting that 100 career record. He led the Tigers from 2009, their debut season, until 2021, reaching the state playoffs his final 9 seasons, highlighted by 5 teams that reached at least the state quarterfinals. His 2014 team was state runner-up, and his 2018 team made it to the state semifinals. Dyer replaces previous coach Shannon Jarvis, who coached Elbert County from 2020 to 2024. Another special aspect about Elbert County, obviously it's a great stadium. The Granite Bowl, it's one of the best high school venues anywhere in the country. And then all the teams that they're going to be playing with, you got Commerce, Athens Academy, Banks County, Providence Christian, Oglethorpe County, and then Raven County. And then Commerce obviously made big news this year, or this offseason, by hiring Lenny Gregory, another guy that coached in Gwinnett County at the highest level when he led Collins Hill to a state championship. So a lot of state championship and fantastic former Gwinnett coaches coaching in Georgia's highest classification are now leading these programs like Commerce and now with Elbert County. I think that's going to benefit them just first working within a big county like Gwinnett, and then going to a smaller school where now he has a personal relationship with Coach Jarvis, the new superintendent that's going to prioritize the athletics, the academics, and give them the tools they need to have a lot of success in the coming seasons. All right, we're still standing by real quick. Last season, their quarterback, Javin Hickman, ended up passing for 1,624 yards and 16 touchdowns. Coach Dyer was the offensive coordinator. They also had a great run game, averaging 202.8 yards per game on the ground. Can Coach Dyer hear us? Not yet? Okay, we'll stand by a little longer. Hold on one sec, guys. All right, so in this region, Athens Academy ended up winning the region, but then they split off into the private bracket where they had a run to the second round of the playoffs. And then the other teams that made it, once you got into the power ratings, were Commerce. They earned the number 11 seed, Elbert County, the number 19 seed, Raven County, the number 21 seed, and then Providence Christian earned a 21 seed in the private bracket. You had Elbert County. They actually made it the furthest out of any of those teams to the quarterfinals. Raven County lost in the first round, and then Commerce in the second round. But there are a lot of rivalries in this region, and despite being Class A Division I, each of these schools we mentioned, they have such great fan support. They pack their stadiums week in and week out, and it is very, very special place to play. All right, let's see if we can get Coach Dyer's audio.
How we doing, guys?
Doing well. Thank you so much for joining us, Coach. First of all, congratulations. Elbert County is obviously a very special place. Just talk about how excited you are to take over this program.
Yeah, man, we're hitting the winter workouts just like everybody else, obviously in January, and kids are doing awesome. A lot of our kids are in other sports, so we're fortunate. I've got them all first thing in the morning, and we're just lifting and kind of building our culture for the next year. So we're off and running and having a good time.
And then obviously we've been mentioning your success at Archer, where you're the first head coach. You had such a great time there. You went to Elbert County. You're on the staff with Coach Jarvis. You obviously had a great relationship with him. How excited are you just to be a head coach again and be able to do it at a program where you've been there a few years, settled in, and have a great group around you?
Yeah, so, I think it's given me a little boost this winter, just kind of getting, the things I like to do and the leadership style that I like to try to create with my kids and my coaches. So that's what we're in the middle of doing. It's always a challenge, and what the ultimate goal obviously is to put your kids in a position where they learn to lead each other, and so that's kind of where we are. We're on the front end of that, and in August we'll put our product on the field. So, but super excited about it.
And then this last season, you guys had such an exciting region. I mean, I couldn't tell who was going to end up pulling out on top. All these games seemed to be close, competitive. We mentioned the atmosphere at a lot of these games is second to none. What are your overall thoughts just about the region you guys are placed in?
Yeah, it's a great region. If you go back 2 years ago, we were down at half, I think, in 8 of the first 10 ball games, and somewhere in the third or fourth quarter pulled away from our opponents. And then, this year, the opposite happened to us in a few of those ball games. So they're always going to be, competitive, and comes down to the kicking game, just like every other region does. But with us, it's really tight, and so it's a lot of fun. got a lot of really good coaches on the other sidelines, real classy guys. You know, it's just good sportsmanship and just great competition.
And then we talked about, obviously, your stadium, the Granite Bowl. It's second to none. Do you ever get tired of seeing that incredible stadium?
No, you know, the first time I went in there, you know, a few years ago, I told Coach Jarvis when we walked out on the field, I said, man, this is as close to an arena as there is in football. You know, it's just surroundings and kind of the ambiance and everything that goes with it. Ton of history there, a ton of pride from the people of Elberton that, you know, I've been born and raised here, and that's kind of the focal point, you know, in the downtown area, and it's just a neat place.
And then talk to us real quick about this team that you'll be returning next year, some of the big guys you're excited about seeing take that next step.
Yeah, so we're graduating 23 guys that have played a lot of football in the last 3 years, and we got 23 seniors in this next class. And so, you know, defensively, kind of starts our bell cow is Lincoln Blackman. He's an inside backer. You know, strong kid. The kid hit 425, almost close gripped it on his bench press the other day, which was super, super impressive. That's not normal for high school. And so Lincoln's a bell cow for us in there. Riante Tucker, Jarrell Sims, those guys on offense. DK Wynn, DJ Fortson will be back. He was out last year with an injury. Really talented running back that we really missed last year. And DK missed most of the year with an injury as well. So we'll have some guys to replace on the offensive line and you know, a couple on the D line and a couple in the secondary. But other than that, we'll be, you know, just kind of putting our product. I told the young kids the other day it's their turn to get in line, time to go. So
certainly. Well, Coach Dyer, thank you so much for joining us and working through some of those technical issues. We cannot wait to see you guys out there in 2025.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thank y'all for having me. Y'all have a great weekend.
You bet. All right, there goes Coach Dyer. All right, so we got one more segment. We'll be back on the other side with Jason Cameron, Calvary Days' new head coach. All right, welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily Show. Right now, we will be joined by Jason Cameron, Calvary Days' new head coach. Coach Cameron, how's it going?
It's going great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Calvary Day, you guys have had such a special run, 4 straight region titles. You guys have been making these deep playoff runs. I mean, how healthy do you feel like the program is as you take over?
Coach Stroud has laid a phenomenal foundation here. He's at Calvary for 15 years, and they've always been, a program that had success on and off the field. So, we have a good nucleus of guys coming back. We got a good staff in place, and we're hoping to take it where Coach Stroud left it, and hopefully bring it even to another level.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys are in the Savannah area. There's so much growth just around that entire area. I feel like Coach Stroud has the most wins out of any coach from that Savannah area. But what's your overall thought just in your surrounding area of schools, just how the competition has also elevated?
Well, it's been great. I was the head coach at Jenkins High School from 2017 to 2020, and around that time, we saw a huge change, just in Savannah in general as a football city. Has put out really, really good student athletes into college, and now you look, Nolan Smith's a Savannah kid. He's in the pros playing, in the Super Bowl. So it's just been a great accomplishment with great coaches and a lot of really good players that have come out of here in the last few years in the Savannah area, and it's just continuing to grow. You see these kids are really going to college. They're making names for themselves and being really, really highly successful. And the coaches that have been here these last 3 weeks, we've been like a revolving door with college coaches, and they're saying at one point years back they were able to kind of pass by Savannah. Now Savannah is one of the areas that they have to come and recruit.
Right, and then Coach Stroud obviously announced his retirement before the playoff run started this last year, so we've been covering the coaching carousel, but it seems like you were able to kind of hit the ground running. He was able to pass the baton over to you, so how has it been just being the head coach these last few weeks?
It's been great. It was a smooth transition. I've been here for 2 years as the offensive coordinator, and I kind of understood what was, happening when I came here. And it was on Coach Stroud's time, and when he was ready, I was ready. I told him I'd be here as long as he was here. So the transition was easy. I think it was easy on the kids knowing, they've played, for me for the past 2 years. They've known me from, my previous tenure at Jenkins. So, it wasn't that kind of, period where you weren't sure who was coming in to be the coach. They knew who was coming. They know me. They know my style. And I think, we're going to hit the ground running. We're going to start some workouts here coming up pretty soon in February, and, doing things like spring practice and different padded camp type stuff in the summer that they really haven't done before. So I think they're really, really excited about it.
Yes, and your team averaged 40.5 points per game last year. Offense was outstanding. Another great team. Talk to us a little bit about what you guys have in 2025.
We got a good nucleus coming back. 2 guys that have really, really 2027 class that have gotten a lot of attention is Emerson Lewis, who's a DB, and so is Brexton Bell. Those guys are going to be, the cornerstones of our defense that really got to be and, step up as leaders for us now, both vocally and the way that they conduct themselves. And got a good offense and defensive line coming back, anchored by, Jay Varner, center guard, and John Swindell also that plays the interior offensive line position. So, we got the right people in the right spots. We're blessed to have our quarterback back. James Mobley threw for 2,900 yards last year and 40 touchdowns, had a phenomenal season for us. We did not have to go backwards at all offensively, and that was a testament to him and what he was able to, handle with his first year, at the helm, taking over for a great quarterback, Jake Merklinger, who was a 4-year starter. So he made it easy for me. It was, and his poise for a 15-year-old kid is something that just kind of goes unnoticed. He's such a calm kid, and we had a kind of calming effect offensively for this year. And I honestly think it was just his demeanor. Returning a really, really good running back room led by Caden Jones, who just picked up his first offer from Georgia State. He's a big, grinding type back. So we got the pieces together. I think we have a really, really good offseason. I think that we could, hopefully, match some of these runs and even make a, one step further and get to a state championship.
You bet. Well, Coach Cameron, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Can't wait to see you guys this upcoming season, and go Cavs.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
All right. So that does it for today's episode. We'll be back on Monday with another full week. Don't forget, on Wednesday for National Signing Day, we will have a special show. You can learn more on scoreatl.com. But that is it. Hope everyone has a good weekend.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off. Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Are you interested in becoming a deputy or a jailer? The Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office is hiring and looking for individuals passionate about protecting and serving their community. If you are 18 years or older, join our team by visiting GoGCSO.com for more information. Gwinnett County, together we can make a difference.